Welcome to the Totum Podcast. I'm Tim Irvine here with my partner, Dr. Stacy Irvine.
We are super excited that you decided to join us. We're coming to you from a live gym at Totum Life Science. Tim and I have worked in this industry for over 30 years, meaning that we have tons of great things to share with you.
Not only that, but we have great guests who will help to educate both of us and you with all things wellness.
Thanks so much for tuning in.
We are so excited to have our first Totum Question Day. What are we going to call this episode?
Ask Totum.
Ask Totum. Well, that's really fun. We have 3 questions, Stace, from actual viewers.
Listeners.
Or listeners, either one. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay, question number 1. If I only have time to do the bare minimum for my health, what are 3 things I could do to be healthier?
It's a very good question. Something that we do hear pretty regularly. And I was thinking that we maybe at some point should do a whole episode about this, like what are just the essentials, because like you and I deal with that a lot because our lifestyles are so busy that some days we don't get all the pieces in place, but we do get the bare minimum sometimes. Most days we get the bare minimum. So to answer the question, my number 1 thing would be sleep. Yep. I think that has, the research shows that over and above everything else, if you don't have sleep.
What if all of our answers are exactly the same? It's just a thought I had.
There's a good chance.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So to me, sleep is by far number 1. I would say if you're getting sleep, my number 2 thing would be movement. And then if you're getting sleep and some movement, my number 3 thing would be improving your nutrition. And I'm going to preface that by saying something that the reason I chose this order, which personally I think is a very smart, important order, is that everyone's going to eat. You're not.
That's true.
You're not surviving. You're not surviving without eating and drinking water. So we are going to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that the sleep and the movement are something that requires our focus. And
like you have to pay attention to it.
You have to pay attention to it, and you're also going to sleep, hopefully, no matter what. But the better quality sleep has a bigger impact on your health. I'm just going to leave the answer.
Okay,
at that.
so I'm going to pick on that third one, the nutrition. What's something specific with that? Like,
well, all the things that we all hear all the time.
Because some people just give me one thing to do.
So
what's the one thing to do?
Hydration. Make sure you're always hydrated. And then I guess the second thing I would say is eat real food.
Great.
Right?
Eat real food. Somebody said that before in this podcast. Who was that?
I don't know. It's probably been said 50 times.
Okay,
before.
so my number 1 by far is sleep as well. Everything I've learned in the last few years is like that's the big one. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do a couple other takes on the second 2. One is immerse yourself in what you want to be. So if you want to figure out how to lose weight and that's your health goal, then just always be consuming information about how to effectively and properly lose weight, because it just ends up being part of your ecosystem. And you slowly pick up these ideas, even though you may not be like, okay, I have to do this. Right. Like it just becomes part of what you do. And then the other one ties a little bit to your second point, which is movement, but I just call it general movement. Mm-hmm. So there's purposeful movement, like I'm going to go work out, which is great. That can be part of your general movement. But I think that we as a society sit way too much. We're way too inactive. Mm-hmm. And that if we just think about just being more generally active, standing up more, instead of sitting so long, stand up for part of it, et cetera, et cetera.
I have a fun fact on that. So a few thousand years ago, guess how much human beings moved on an average daily basis?
10,000 steps. I don't even know what that is.
No.
A lot? They moved a lot.
They moved the amount of a marathon every day.
Okay, well, that's a lot.
A marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10,000 steps is way below a marathon.
Way below.
Yeah.
And so that, because we were hunters and gatherers, that's what we did all day.
Yeah.
Okay. So same body, same DNA, same genetics. What would you say the average would be today?
Less than 10,000 or where? Okay, you're talking
yeah.
about like a running distance?
Yeah.
So like maybe 5K.
Yeah. That's about the average.
Wow.
So if you think about that, it's so drastically different that we've got to somehow figure out ways to get more movement into our days.
Yeah, like go chase some squirrels.
Sure. Whatever it takes.
Okay. We good for question number 1?
Yeah.
Okay, on to question number 2. Cardio, mobility, strength training. What is most important?
That's a tricky one.
Yeah, it is a bit tricky.
Okay. I'm going to answer that with a bit of a qualifier. I think it depends on how old you are. And I think it depends upon what your job entails. So what you're spending the most of your day doing. So when you are young, like let's say in your 20s, I am going to say maybe cardio and strength are maybe going to be your 2 go-to. Okay, because I'm assuming that you will just have some mobility because of how old you are. And it is your prime age for building muscle mass and gaining strength. So I would say that in your 20s, you're going to prioritize that.
Yeah.
And then I think throughout the rest of your life, I think mobility, maybe if we looked at it on a chart, right? So 20s, strength is up here. I think you want to pay attention to your cardio just for your health and for your general well-being and your metabolism and all those things. And mobility is probably down here. Then I think as you hit your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, I think mobility starts to move up. I think that strength can be still a priority because now you're potentially losing muscle mass. So I think we want to keep strength up there. But I think I would put cardio down a little bit. And then I think there's an interesting transition when people retire that I think the activities most people do in retirement, whether you're a golfer, tennis, like you have more time to go hiking, you're traveling more. I think cardio can come down a little bit more because I'm really hoping that you get cardio in your day-to-day activity.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to move strength up.
And that can include walking.
Totally. Walk anywhere you walk because you have time to walk,
Yeah.
right? And maybe your kids are grown up and you're not stuck in a car like we are driving them all over the place all the time.
Yeah.
And then I'm definitely going to move mobility up.
Wow. That's a lot of qualifiers.
It's a lot of graphs.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to just go on a limb here and say I'm going to pick strength training as number 1 because you can get cardio from proper strength training. If you
that's
don't
true.
rest as
That's a
much,
good
and that's
point.
something your heart rate's going to get elevated. So you can get some
That's a very good
from
point.
that. The other thing too is if you're concentrating on strength training as a primary, especially if you start when you're younger, you're going to maintain all the mobility in those strength training movements as you get older.
That range of motion.
The other thing that we've seen time and time again with our older clients is if they're strong, they get to continue doing all the stuff that they normally do physically.
Yep.
So they're all 3 are important. And I think that if you had to say, just do something, like pick one that's your favorite, because not doing anything is more detrimental. Yeah. Watch out for the mic, by the way. It's your first day doing this.
That made me think of something that I think is
not
hitting the mic.
Okay.
Your point, which is something to be aware of, is that we like to do the things we're really good at, and that's a problem.
Yes.
So I find like people who are really mobile love to go do yoga because they're like showing off, like, look, I can do the splits in all the different directions. So if you're that person that should be the last one that you're doing. You should be focusing on stability and strength and maybe cardio, versus also like people who have a great cardio system like you do. Like they kind of like to go out for runs because they can beat everyone and make everyone else feel badly about themselves that they don't have that cardio.
This is, we're getting need a therapist for part of this answer.
So you might want to, if it's something that you're drawn to, I think you got to figure out why. And if you're already really good at it, don't do more of it. Pick the other one.
There's only one time I can think of that I made you feel bad when I've been out for a run. But anyway, moving on to question number 3. I have hit a plateau. What should I do to get past it?
Ooh, okay.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
I got some ideas about this one. I really think it comes down to one word. It's change. You have to change what you're doing. So let's just use something that's pretty typical. So when you're strength training, if you keep doing the same thing, you eventually can't get stronger, can't, whatever. If you are doing the same exercises, but you change the reps, that's change. If you change the sets, if you change the weight, any kind of change will help you to move past a plateau, even if it's the same type of exercise. So you have to introduce some level of change. That's when we were running, if we were running 4 days a week for our training, we would end up being slow day, long, slow distance, race pace, and fast days, interval days, like challenging
Mixing
your body in different ways. So I think from my perspective, that's the most important piece.
So change something. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think that's a definite one, and hopefully kind of an obvious thing, right? That people would maybe think about.
Well, we talked about that when we had Tremaine on the podcast, and like there's a lot of people just they just do the same thing.
And do the same thing.
They don't know what to change to. They don't have the knowledge. It seems pretty straightforward to us, but they don't have the knowledge. So
I just listened to a really interesting program that was talking about these people who were in their, 70s, 80s, 90s, who were accomplishing these amazing physical things. Like there's a swimmer out there. I think she's either 99. I think she's 99, and she just broke 4 world records.
That's
with
awesome.
swimming. It was such an inspiring thing to listen to. And what I did notice about each of them is that they had some very specific goals. So they had the races, or, we have this whole kind of world that trains for marathons and 10Ks and those types of things. And it really got me thinking too, that we don't do well when we're just exercising for no purpose.
Right. For the sake of just doing
burning calories, what we look like.
It's kind of boring. It's
boring.
Yeah.
And I think that leads to plateaus. And in my opinion, it would be well worth your while to say, what am I doing this for? What's inspiring me? A race is something great. Like we've done that before. Like in my opinion, I was just scared of, being in pain in the race. So that would help me get through my training and work a little bit harder in the training. Working with a personal trainer, someone you're accountable to. I think it's just what is that goal that you have? And I think there's so many fun masters programs out there, and so many fun community things, like join a soccer team, join a basketball team. That could be your goal. Take up curling, get some friends together. I think that if you put some meaning to why you're doing what you're doing, I think then you won't hit plateaus, or the other side of it is you won't feel like you're hitting a plateau because you're out there doing something fun that you love to do. And that's fun too.
Absolutely. And we were just talking to our amazing production team, Mark and Emily, about that idea of, well, you sign up for something. So if you sign up for that running event and you've never done one before, you're going to be a little bit nervous about that. That's normal human emotion, but it's, as we know, we've done lots. It's so much fun, this big community, and no one cares how fast you're going. It's just like it's this big support system. And so now you've actually done something that you find out, this is really enjoyable. Plus, so you sign up for something that produces some change that helps you to continue to be healthier overall.
I think that that's a great way to get through a plateau.
Well, I think that this whole Ask Totum thing is really cool.
It is really fun.
Right? It's fun. So thank you to all you listeners and viewers for sending in your questions. Please continue to do so. DM us on Instagram. Visit one of our locations. You call my cell if you want to. I'm not going to give you the number right now because then I've got 2 or 3 people going to call.
They're going to call you. Yeah. Just 2 or 3.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you liked this episode, and if you did, please subscribe and share it with your family and friends.
We would love to hear from you. Follow us on social media. You could send us a DM or even come visit us in real life at Totum on King West. See you soon.